Dear friends, welcome to this week's edition of the Inspired Parsha. This week we have the incredible privilege to read through Parshas Mikeitz. And like every Parsha in the Torah, there's so many beautiful, rich ideas, especially in the Hasidic world. But I just want to focus on one pasuk, one verse, and also I want to really relate it to the beautiful holiday that we're in the middle of celebrating, the holiday of Hanukkah. So we all know the story. The story is that Pharaoh had these dreams, and he didn't know how to interpret these dreams, and he called over Yosef, he called over Joseph to interpret his dreams. And one of the dreams, as we know, is famous, that there were 7 fat cows by the bank of the river, and then these 7 lean cows came and ate the 7 fat cows. And the pasuk, the verse goes on to actually say that the 7 lean cows seemed to stay thin. They didn't seem to absorb the fat cows that they ate. And we all know how Yosef interpreted the dreams. Joseph said that you're going to have first 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine. And then he went on to actually give practical advice and said that during the 7 years of plenty, you should store up as much food as you can so that you'll have food for the 7 years of famine. What's the deeper meaning behind this? In the Hasidic world, everything that's written in the Torah has a deeper spiritual meaning. It's not just the story on a superficial level. It's there to teach us something about our own spiritual growth. So what can we learn from this idea? So the Or HaMeir, who's the great, written by the great tzaddik Reb Zev Lev Wolf of Zadimir, he was one of the great disciples of the Maggid of Mezrich. He says something beautiful. He says that what was happening over here is also Yosef was giving us a message for all future generations for how to deal with our religious, spiritual famine, so to speak, our difficulties, our struggles, our own famines, when we feel spiritually void and we feel empty, we don't feel connected to God. What happened in the story? After the 7 lean in the dream, the 7 lean cows ate the 7 fat cows, and they didn't gain weight. They stayed lean. That's the wrong way to approach spirituality. What do I mean by this? It means that during the 7 years of plenty, that's, so to speak, our spiritual reservoir that we're building up, so to speak, when we feel connected to Hashem during powerful moments in our lives. That's the time to store what we have gained during that time, so that when we go into that spiritual famine that we all experience at certain points, we have now a reservoir to tap into. In the dream was that the 7 lean cows stayed thin. That means that they did not absorb what they should have done during the 7 years of plenty. They should have reserved that and put that into their own reservoir, so to speak. That's why Yosef, when he interpreted the dream, he said that what you should do is not do what those 7 lean cows did, where they stayed thin afterwards. You should absorb those 7 years of plenty, put it into storage, so to speak, put it into it so that you have spiritual abundance, you have inspiration, that when you do go into famine time, you will have that reservoir to tap into. That's an incredible message that we can all learn from, because we all have our 7 years of plenty, so to speak, are all times when we're feeling powerfully connected to God, powerfully connected to Hashem. We want to do Torah and mitzvos. And then we have the years of famine, so to speak, when we don't have that in front of us. The way to combat this issue, this problem, is by during those times of plenty, build a spiritual reservoir within ourselves. Remember all those times when you felt close to Hashem. Build it into yourself so that when you go into that spiritual famine, that time when it's difficult and painful in your life and hard to get closer to God, you have that reservoir inside of you. How does this all connect to Hanukkah? Hanukkah, it's such a beautiful holiday, but it comes during the winter time. Wintertime, of course, is always symbolic of a dark, desperate sort of time where it's cold. It's spiritually cold as well. And the way to connect it is that we suddenly get, for at least 8 days, we get this reservoir, this powerful spiritual energy that it's put into our lives. Literally, the nights are lit up, so to speak, with the Hanukkah candles. What's the message? take those 8 days of spiritual abundance that we have, take that abundance and bring it into the times ahead, the months ahead, where we have a famine, so to speak, a spiritual famine, where we might feel distant from God. Remember that reservoir, keep it inside of us, and let it help to illuminate all of the months ahead of us. I want to wish everyone here a wonderful Shabbos Kodesh. Thank you so much for listening, and a wonderful, happy Hanukkah.